Shotgun formation, handoff, Barkley running right.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop-in at broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps
Touchdown, the Cowboys!
to the pros.
And Teddy back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Shotgun formation, handoff, Barkley running right. He's got a hole to the 20, 15, cuts it to the 10, down the sideline, touchdown! Barkley goes the distance. 23 yards for the
He'll
score.
work towards the lane. Nice kick into the corner. Gasson for 3. Bingo! David Gasson has 5 in the early going. Dribbles to the right. Here's Hassan off a screen. Great fake. Step back triple. Swish. Brendan Hassan. Fans have been waiting for that one. That's the 4th Wildcat triple of the night. Steal here by Doug McDaniel. He'll drive on Cam. Layup good. Reverse layup. McDaniel now with 14.
Second down and 3 from the 39. Pitch it. Barkley, shake and bake move. Cuts it up the middle to the 30, to the 20. He's gone. Goodbye, Barkley. Touchdown, Eagles. Good night.
And good Friday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. Broadcasting on Goodland Rocket 102.5. Also, of course, on nwksradio.net. And also as well at also as well, of course, on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Hope everyone's having a good start to their Friday morning here on the Morning Blitz. I apologize if some things sound a little bit differently. I apologize for that. I don't know exactly why that would be at this point in time, to be completely honest. Oh, I actually do know why. Oh, man. Tell you what, we're going to have to quickly get to, let's see here. Give me seconds here. I think I know what the problem is. We're going to have to solve this problem. Give me, apologize for this, people. We have a technical difficulty, and we have to play a quick ad, and we'll get right back to this. Sorry about that. All right, folks, we are back here. I apologize. We had some technical difficulties there. Once again, these are issues that happen when you're in the situation that we are in at this point in time with a few, what can I say? A few things that are changing parts at this point in time. I do have to admit that we are getting very, very close to being back in studio and everything working correctly from that point in time forward. But at this point in time, everything's still kind of a little bit in flux there, and that was really nothing to do with the new studio, more just a little bit of an operator error on my end. I remind folks that when you do these type of remote broadcasts and you do it the way that we do it, you have to have everything lined up absolutely perfect. That's the big thing. You have to have everything lined up absolutely perfect. If you don't, bad things will happen. That's the sad part. So you have to have things be very, very, very concise and exactly right and all that stuff, and it can be a real troublesome problem. That can be the thing. But I think we've got everything ironed out now. I do apologize for that once again, folks, but we are on the air here on Goodland's Rocket 1025, NWKSradio.net, and of course, video streaming available on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, which I'm guessing everything probably went through that correctly. It's the stuff with the radio station I had a little bit of issue with here this morning. But I apologize, and once again, glad that you are with us here on a Friday morning. Currently sitting at 31 degrees. It got down to 29 last night. Going to be a high of 58 here on this Friday morning, November the 15th. We got a full show ahead today. We will be diving into our Pick Six picks of the weekend coming up here in our third segment. We will be visiting with Rusty Groffel, Fort Hays State men's basketball assistant, will join the program for the first time in a couple months, get his thoughts on the early season for Fort Hays State men's basketball. So he'll come up joining us here in segment 2. We'll get to some high school football playoffs, which will be resuming tonight. 3 area teams still alive and in the hunt for a state championship, and we'll touch a little bit on some stories from last night. But I actually want to start with some stories. Or with the story last night was Kansas State men's basketball losing at home and losing for the first time overall, for the first time here in the 2024-25 season. They lost at Bramlage to LSU 76-65 in a game that was really not that close, to be completely honest with you. It was, for the most part, it was pretty much an LSU blowout is what it was. It was a total LSU blowout at this point in time. And that is, I don't know, I think it was concerning. It sounded like, and we'll have some audio here from Jerome Tang. He'll be coming up here in just a little bit, and I have some audio from him talking about, what he thought of his team here last night in this loss down to LSU. I mean, it was a game where, if you look at it, it was LSU got out to a really big lead. I mean, after it being pretty tight throughout the first 20 points, K-State went on a drought from about the 7:20 mark all the way to the 4-minute mark. So almost went 3.5 minutes without a basket, while LSU took what was a 6-point lead at that point in time, a 30-24 lead, all the way to a 36-24 lead, and they would actually lead 43-31 at halftime. K-State would go on another offensive drought in the second half, they would be sitting. They would get it back to a 9-point game, get it back to single digits, 49-40 with about 14 and a half minutes left to play. And then all the way to about the 10:31 mark, that is where LSU would have a 16-point lead and expand that back out. So they got it down to 9, went back up to 16. And really, K-State could not keep up at that point in time. The biggest thing was, in my opinion, watching the game last night, what I saw of it was K-State didn't hit three-pointers. So that's something they've done all season long. And, they'd been so good at three-point shooting. I think they'd made 23 going into that game through their first 2 contests. Last night, they made 5 of 21. And remember the storyline. We talked about it yesterday here on the Blitz, was that LSU was the number one three-point defensive team in the nation. The number one, they were the best team in the nation at defending the three. I mean, they were so good at running you off the three-point line, not letting you get good looks. They were fantastic at that. And LSU proved that was better than what K-State could do at making threes. They did a great job defensively, defending the three, and it made Kansas State very, very hard to shoot the three. And when they didn't shoot the three, K-State tried to go inside and score, and that's where LSU really shines, and a lot of teams down in the South shine because they've just got these freaks, these long, lean, athletic guys, that are 6'8", 6'9" to 6'11", 7 foot, and they can just jump out of the gym with these super long arms, and they can just do all of that stuff. And so that was just a huge part of the game last night to me, was that LSU proved that they could defend the three better than K-State could shoot the three. And then also they proved last night that, that the length of LSU in the middle was just too much for Kansas State to overcome in this 76-65 loss for the Wildcats at home, handing them their first loss of the season. Let's get to some audio. Here was Jerome Tang post-game talking about the loss to LSU last night.
Yeah, this was one of those good old-fashioned butt whoopings. We knew what they wanted to do. They knew what they wanted to do, and they did what they wanted to do better than we could stop them. And this is, first of all, just let me thank the fans for showing up. It was a great crowd, and so thankful for the support, and apologize that we didn't put an effort on the court that was worthy of the K-State Wildcats.
I mean, that was, to me, that was the big thing last night. It really was, where they were just able to do what if they wanted to do. LSU and Kansas State could not do what they wanted to do. More from Coach Tang post game. More thoughts on this loss.
Yeah, we just never put any score pressure on them. Yeah. Where that's just what it is. We lost the game. You can't win a game in the first half, but you can lose it. And just their physicality on the glass, they set the tone from the very beginning, and that's on us as a staff.
As always, Coach Tang taking all the blame, thanking the fans. He does it every time they lose. It's only I think the 5th home loss. I wrote that down here. I'm gonna find that real quick. Just the 5th home loss underneath Jerome Tang in 36 home games. He does not lose at home very much. And LSU just, like I said, they just showed that they were the more athletic team. They wanted a little bit more last night. And that happens usually when your number one offensive threat, which is shooting the three-point shot. If you're Kansas State, it's not falling. When your bread and butter deal is not working, and it can be applied to any sport, but when any bread and butter deal is not working, that results in issues. So if the bread and butter, let's say once again, if you're in football and let's just say you're a running football team. You love to run the football. You maybe only throw it 5 times a game. Okay. If the defense absolutely stonewalls you and you're not getting, you're averaging 2 yards a carry throughout the ball game, guess what? That's very, very hard to overcome. And so far through 2 games this year, we have seen that Kansas State has relied a lot on the 3-point shot. And guess what? That shot was not falling. And when you can't run the ball or you can't shoot the three in these situations, your confidence goes down. Sometimes your effort goes down in areas that have to pick up in order to make up for that. Or once again, might have been rebounding and some defense from Kansas State's end. And that's why, Tang talked about the staff a little bit and trying to get that corrected. But I don't know. Look, if you're Kansas State, I don't think you can hold your head too badly. But this one probably does sting a little bit. You were at home, had a chance to get a nice win for your resume. I know it's only the 3rd game of the season, but it could have been a nice resume win. But it was just not in the cards. Only had 2 guys get into double figures, with David Gershon tying Doug McDaniel, who got the start with 16 points apiece. McDaniel finished with 5 assists. Gershon with 5 rebounds. That was a season low. Coleman Hawkins, just 3 of 10 shooting, 8 points, 4 rebounds. The big-time transfer And Brennan Housen, the transfer from Villanova, known for his three-point shooting, just 2 of 6 shooting the three last night to goal. Also 8 points and 4 rebounds for Brandon Housen. Everyone who came off the bench was able to contribute, got some points, or grabbed a rebound in some sort of way. But once again, to me, the biggest thing was K-State was dominated on the glass, 43-25, and they shot the three-point ball 5 of 21. Now, LSU only hit 8 of 24. It was still better, and it wasn't amazing. Like, it wasn't like 12 of 24 or something like that. But once again, LSU's ability to limit Kansas State's good looks on the outside was so key in last night's win for the Tigers. And Cam Carter, former Kansas State guard, was 6 of 11, 20 points, 4 rebounds. You knew that was going to happen, right? And he's coming back to the place he played most of his career and in front of this crowd. And then, you know what? He came and he had a great game. And guess what? They interviewed him after the game on ESPN Plus. they talked to him after the game. And so he had the best game of anybody. So, this, once again, this is the way it's going to be a lot of times throughout a college basketball season. Especially early on, you've got especially in the form of Kansas State, but this is the way it is for a lot of teams. You don't have a lot of guys that have played together a whole lot. What happens when things are not working for you the way they've worked the first couple of games? How do you respond? Kansas State didn't really respond that great last night, but luckily for them, it's just one loss. They have got plenty of chances to pick up some more momentum. They've got Mississippi Valley State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and George Washington, GW, all coming up here over the next, before December, all pretty much to wrap up the month of November, early December. And then they'll have a chance after those 3 games, probably more than likely 5-1, a chance to go on the road to St. John's and take on what is currently a ranked St. John's team at 22. And there's a chance to maybe get a resume win that you possibly missed with LSU. There's your chance. So 3 more games to kind of iron out some kinks with this roster that's probably still trying to feel its way through things. And then you kind of go from there. But once again, Kansas State loses 76-65 to LSU. Cam Carter, former Wildcat, scores 20 points against his former team. And like I said, K-State does not shoot the 3-ball well and does not rebound the ball well either at this point in time. Moving along here on the Morning Blitz, last night in the NFL, Week 11 kicked off. The Eagles taking down the Commanders 26-18. It was a lot more. It was an ugly game through the first half. If you didn't end up watching it, got the early lead up 7-0 in the first quarter. They wouldn't score again until the third when they got a field goal, and then they got a touchdown, a 2-point conversion in the fourth to get to their 18 points. And Philadelphia just really struggled through the first 3 quarters. First and foremost, their kicker, Jake Elliott, really had a bad night. He missed 2 field goals and an extra point in that win last night. But he was able to get a couple of field goals, one in the second, one in the third. And then in the fourth quarter, the Eagles' offense exploded from its shackles and was able to find the end zone a couple of times with the running game. Saquon Barkley had 2 touchdowns. He toted the ball 26 times for 146 and 2 scores. And then you had Jalen Hurts with 10 carries for 39 yards. He had the other touchdown of the night. So they had 3 rushing touchdowns. Barkley was huge, especially late in that game. And the Commanders just really couldn't keep up. Give a lot of credit to that Eagles defense. Going into this season, I think a lot of people question, how good is this Eagles team going to be? Sirianni's kind of on the hot seat, so on and so forth. And honestly, they've looked about as much of a complete team as anybody, next to the Kansas City Chiefs maybe and the Baltimore Ravens. They've looked about as complete as any team. Their defense was really, really good last night, slowing down Jaden Daniels. He had just 191 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. He was sacked 3 times as well. They didn't allow them to throw the ball down the field. They made him check it down. Austin Eckler, the running back, former Colorado guy, 8 receptions for 89 yards for Austin Eckler. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was. I think it was just, to me, it proved that the Eagles are just really a complete football team. Their defense is very good. Their offense is doing some really good things here as of late. They missed some throws in the first half, but things started opening up, it seemed like, in the second half. And, they were one of those, they kind of stuck to their guns a little bit. They stuck to their guns and I think did a really good job of running the football late in the game, and Washington kind of broke down at that point in time. And things kind of got figured out as it went along last night for the Philadelphia Eagles. But 26-18, they're now 8-2. They sit atop of the NFC East, as that was that was on the line last night, and they now sit atop of the NFC East. And I was going to take a look and see who they have coming up as Philadelphia, because at 8-2, and guess what? You're at the Rams, somewhat of a challenge. At the Ravens, there's certainly a challenge. Then you've got, the Panthers. It's a tough slate. I mean, you've got 7 games left this season for the Eagles. You've probably only got, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 games in there that could be guaranteed wins. The rest of them are going to be hard-fought games. But so far, looks like it's been a great season so far for Philadelphia. And the Commanders, once again, I think everything that they do is kind of gravy in this first year. They got to go back to the drawing board. They got to figure some things out. But I thought their defense played good and early, but wore down because the offense didn't stay on the field enough last night. Simple as that. But Eagles win 26-18 last night. All right, let's transition in here for the final 5 to 10 minutes here of this first thing before we bring on Rusty Groffel, our good friend of the program from Fort Hays State men's basketball. Diving into the high school football playoffs, which are resumed tonight. You've got 3 area teams still in action. 8-man Division I, you have the Hoxie Indians heading on the road to Wichita County to take on Leota. This has been a great series. At least some really good games, over the last handful of years, and they've been so impactful. Wichita County has gotten the best of Hoxie the previous 3 meetings. Hoxie hasn't beaten them since 2021 in the postseason, I think during that great run for them all the way to the state. But, Wichita County kind of stumbled out of the gate this year, really did, stumbled out of the gate and lost to Haxton, Colorado, 22-12. Since then have just steamrolled everybody. They have, every single time they have stepped on the field, they have at least scored 50 points and have held opponents to no more than 8. Now, have they played an extremely challenging schedule? Elkhart, I don't think is that great. Joaquini Trigo's had an okay year. Ness City's okay. La Crosse is okay. Quinter is okay. La Crosse. A lot of these teams. Their toughest games on their schedule were late. Ellis, Decatur Community, and South Gray, 2 of those being in the postseason. And also, Wichita County gets the benefit of the doubt that they get their 3rd consecutive home game to open up the playoffs, which is huge. But Hoxie, I think, has had a little bit more of a challenging schedule. Lance Barr feels very confident in his team. About how they've played this season, how they are going into this game. I think it should be a whale of a football game. To me, it's the best game of in our area, and maybe even in Western Kansas, an 8-man. It's going to be the best game. It's going to be really, really good. But Wichita County, Hoxie tonight, down at Leota. I look forward to seeing how that game shakes out. And then 2 teams still alive in the 6-man playoffs as well, as you will have Golden Plains in one Western, what I want to call that, sectional. It's the sectional round. So on one side of the West bracket, you've got Golden Plains at home hosting South Barber. Look, I think South Barber is going to be a very tough team, but at the same time, they have a long road trip to get up here. They play at 6 o'clock tonight Central Time there in Rexford. They've got a long road trip to get there. And so South Barber, Golden Plains, we'll see if that road trip has any impact, and if Coach Smith and Josh Rath and those guys at Golden Plains can have a pretty good start to this game and can get off to a good start and hang around with South Barber and maybe pull off the upset. We'll see. But I think that could be an intriguing game. Once again, I think I'm intrigued to see how much that road trip plays an impact. And then Weskin and Ingalls on the other side, another intriguing football game as well, because you've got Weskin, who has just steamrolled everybody. They've played very, very well, except for the Northern Valley game. They have really played they've pretty much rolled everybody they've seen. But tonight they're going to face, a very good Ingalls squad, led by a really good running back. I think Northgren is his name, and they love to give him the ball, and he's a playmaker. And so Weskin will have the task of trying to slow him down. But of course, Weskin has more weapons. They're a very balanced team. They run the ball well. They throw the ball well. So I look forward to seeing how it all turns out tonight with those 2 6-man games between Golden Plains and South Barber and Weskin and Ingalls. I do remind folks that earlier this week, we did visit with Weskin head coach Brett Clow, and we did visit with Hoxie head coach Lance Barr. And if you would like to hear those interviews, you can go to our podcast page. You can check out the Morning Blitz on wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Amazon, Apple, or Spotify. You get your podcasts there. And so once again, you can download that and just search for the Morning Blitz and you can find us there. But yeah, you can listen to those interviews again that we had with Coach Barr as well as with Coach Clow, who feel pretty good about their games going into tonight, but we'll see how it all goes. One thing that is good that I can guarantee pretty much is that the weather should be better than what it was last week. That was not good weather in any way, shape, or form. That was very difficult weather with all that rain and stuff. So I give a lot of credit to, like I said, I give a lot of credit to those kids fighting through that weather. That had to be really tough, but tonight should be so much better weather. Here's the other thing too. Weskin and Golden Plains both at home, which is great. They don't have to travel. Long road trips for those two teams. Though South Barber's a lot longer than Ingalls' road trip, to be honest with you. I'm guessing that's probably a 5.5 hour trip. Be a long road trip for South Barber up to Rexford. And then, Hoxie, not a super long trip to Leota, but that should be a clash of two titans in 8-man D1 Western football. That should be a heck of a football game. So there you go. 3 teams alive in the postseason. We'll see who stands and advances to the sub-state round after tonight. Before we get to break, I want to quickly highlight a couple of the local sports here. We'll get to Rusty Groffel in just a matter of moments. Besides football, there is some basketball this weekend. You've got Fort Hays Tech Northwest women at the Trinidad State Classic. They've got Trinidad State and Otero Friday and Saturday. And then there are Fort Hays Tech Northwest men going to the Casper College tournament. They'll be taking on Casper College tonight, Northwest College Saturday. And then Colby Community College women hosting Heston College Saturday, and the men will be hosting McPherson JV on Sunday. And these are the final kind of tune-up games, at least for Colby Community College, that is. Final kind of tune-up games before being conference play begins here. I think starting on, it's Tuesday or Thursday. Might be Wednesday. Actually, might be Wednesday. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, it starts up here this upcoming week when Jayhawk conference play begins for CCC and for Fort Hays Tech Northwest. I think Fort Hays Tech Northwest has maybe a game on Monday or something like that to help kind of give them another game to iron out some kinks, because this will just be games 3 and 4 for the Fort Hays Tech Northwest women this weekend, and the Fort Hays Tech Northwest men, this will just be game 2 and 3. So they haven't had very many preseason games due to the weather that came through and impacted their schedule. So I'm thinking they're going to try and get a few more games in before they get to that conference play starting next week. So there you go. And also a little local wrestling going on. You got Colby Community College at the Grandview Open this weekend, and Fort Hays Tech Northwest men will host Air Force Prep and Otero. Actually, that's Fort Hays Tech Northwest men will host Air Force Prep and Otero for a tri-duel here this weekend. There you go. A quick look at the local sports here in segment number 1. But good luck, especially to the area athletes, particularly the high school football players from Hoxie, Golden Plains, and Weskin, as they try to advance in the postseason here tonight. All right, let's get to a break. We'll come back. We will visit with Rusty Groffel next, talk a little college basketball. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Friday. are back here on a Friday morning. Glad you hung with us for the technical difficulties here. Appreciate that. Hopefully we'll be in the new studios on Monday is the hope. We'll have our first show from there, but we'll see. Still got a few things to iron out at this point in time. Let's welcome into the broadcast our good friend, assistant coach for Fort Hays State men's basketball. That would be Rusty Groffel. Good morning, Russ. How we doing?
Good morning, Ross. I had no idea you guys were rearranging over there. So is this I mean, we probably don't want to talk about this sports-wise. This new building, just a new area? What we got going on?
So the Goodland radio stations have moved. You probably were never in the original Goodland stations. They were in a big, outdated, old building south of town. And so anyway, we have recently within the last – well, pretty much since June or July, we purchased the Pizza Hut building here at the old Pizza Hut building here in Goodland, which is over there south of the tracks, and then it's getting remodeled to be the new radio station studios.
Oh, well, holy moly! If I could be fly on the wall and some insight, just tell them to leave the pizza oven somewhere. You could fire things up, radio. Oh man, radio
the
pizza?
only
Absolutely.
thing that was left behind was the smell of pizza.
Yeah, you won't get rid of that unless that place probably takes it to the ground.
Actually, what was amazing is it's not really there much anymore. We took out the old carpet. I think that's what held most of the stench.
Yeah,
and so
I'm sure.
But you can definitely tell that it's an old Pizza Hut. There's still lots of stuff, whether it's the walls or the floors. It's hard to get some of that stuff cleaned up from all those years of whatever it may be, grease or whatever. And so,
oh yeah, I can understand. You take me back to my high school days of working. That was the first job at Pizza Hut there in Oberlin, so I totally get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's kind of going on right now. But we're, like I said, we're really close to getting the KKCI, so the station we're on right now, done, and we're working on KLOE here today some more. So my guess is. Well, like I said, but only the studios, the lobby area, like where you'd walk in, that's still gutted and stuff. So we still have some work to do, but we're getting closer and closer, at least to being on the air there in person. Because right now, for you don't know, I'm in my basement of my house broadcasting because that's where I have to do it because there's no studio.
Oh, perfect. See, I can visualize you radio doing some crypto, everything done.
Crypto, man, I'll tell you what, I wish I was smart enough to understand crypto. I'm not smart.
I was barely good enough to get that word out. So, yeah, it's okay. I'm with you.
Rusty Groffel's our guest here on the Morning Blitz. I want to start first of all. Last night, Kansas State lost to LSU. You guys got to face the Wildcats in your first game of the season, lost 70-56. Your thoughts on this Kansas State team from getting to see them up close this year?
Yeah, super athletic team. If I had to guess, just from my time in the Big 12 to coming to Hayes here, being able to play KU last year, playing K-State this year. They're by far the biggest team we'll face this year, 1 through 5, even their 6, 7, 8 man coming off the bench. And they're just super athletic, as you can see, with, some of the transfers they have, even a couple of their returners. I think when we played them, and of course, early in everybody's season, they're still trying to figure out who they probably want to be and who they are. With all the tools they have, I think they match up with probably about anybody in the country. And how Dang and their staff is going to put everything together through the course of the season is really going to kind of landscape them to where they might become Big 12 player, maybe even around Christmas. So super talented, really hard to guard, especially, with the mismatch parts. But at the same time, like I said, just like we are, like they're doing, we're still trying to navigate our way through this first part of the season. At that point, it was preseason, exhibition games, and get to where we need to be and probably where they need to be too.
Yeah, through the first couple games of your guys' regular season, you guys were up in Marshall, Minnesota, taking on Southwest Minnesota State and Concordia St. Paul. I know you guys lost both of those games, one close, one not so close. What was the story behind those two contests, your guys' thoughts going away from that game?
Yeah, we know going into it, even with the group we had, when the scheduling was being done last year, they were going to be tough, based off we were up there, in that area and just the overall teams with Northern Sun. I think really, looking back at it, especially that first night, Southwest Minnesota State. That one got away from us. Both of them got away from us, but that one kind of stung a little bit more. Very capable team as far as comparable to an MIAA team. Big physical, could shoot the ball from different positions. So we kind of had, especially with our returners, a good scout going, even with the first game of the year, of what we were expecting and what to, give them to expect. And this is unfortunate. We took a loss in that one, and you play back to back, and sometimes those you don't want them to hang over. And right now we're a team that is still learning, trying to figure out exactly with the winning ways. If we're going to play 3/4 of a game, to get to that full game, we got to be able to kind of live, learn, and get over some things, even if it's a quick turnaround. So saw a lot of good things offensively. Obviously, we were really good that first night statistically. And even defensively, we held them to, I think, right under 38% from the field, which that's a winning formula for us, especially the last couple of years. So there's some good things. We're really just trying to get number one, our incoming freshmen, the true freshmen, as quickly, up to game speed as we can, and then also our transfers. Our returners played fairly well, which we expected, but those new guys to the program are still, not all the way there with all the practice we've had, but you're going to get that with game experience and more practice, which nobody is where they need to be right now, and at this point in the season. So hopefully, one other thing, that's probably good is we had a week and a half off, so we haven't played, and we won't play again until Tuesday, which is kind of a rare part of the season when you start games, So we've had plenty of time to practice here to get ready for our next home game, which we'll only have one more road game before, Christmas, which is super nice too. We'll play all the games here in Hayes.
Yeah, I saw that in the schedule. It's you had to start off on the road, but then you get to be home, like you said, for a good stretch here. How challenging is it to start the season on the road, or is it just part of the deal?
It is part of the deal, and it's super challenging. I think any coach in America would probably say, hey, if we could, we play, every game, especially the start at home, where you're comfortable, where you've been practicing the whole time. And I think I say luxury, even though we took 2 losses, we had, six of those guys, returners, that have, been on the road, been here, in multiple games. So that was the nice thing, for us as coaches and staff. Like, we knew, okay, we're prepared. These guys know what the routine, they know what to do. They can help, keep bringing these new guys along. But at the end of the day, you're playing a team on their home floor. You're driving 9 hours. You're staying. It was a 5-day trip for us, which is extremely long at any level. And if you can get a win, I think that changed probably the second night too. You get a win that first night. The taste in the mouth's a little different. Things are feeling a little bit better. And you maybe can rattle off 2-0 on the road. But again, it's one of those deals where this in this profession, and the guys are the game for a reason. So it's tough to win. Like, you can't. Coach always says this, which is a great thing to take for any young coach or old coach. If winning was easy, everybody would do it. It'd just be, everybody could go out and just win. So winning is hard, no matter who you're playing on the road, on your home floor, and that's kind of what we're trying to integrate with these guys. And like I said, we have a good group of returners, so this is what helps, and hopefully it stings a little bit, especially early, to where we can get rolling in the right direction. Obviously, coming up here Tuesday.
Rusty Groffel's our guest, assistant coach at the Fort Hays. I keep on wanting to say Fort Hays Tech Northwest. It's becoming a problem there for me, Rusty. Across it, just Fort Hays State, period, is who he's our assistant coach for the men's basketball program. You talked about this roster and how, this is a 16th ranked team in the D2 polls to start the year. I mean, this is a good roster. I mean, you guys have to love the roster that came back and the new pieces that you've added in. Talk to me about this team and how much excitement there is around this roster.
Yeah, first and foremost, the returners. Last time we talked, that was the biggest focal point for us, and any year, bringing back guys with a foundation and that were a part of winning, a lot of winning. So Caleb Hammocky, who had a decent weekend. We still expect a lot out of him, probably more than most people would look on paper, and it's more intangible stuff. And then you had Sean Riley, you had Trajan Davis. 2 key players to last year's team, the success, RJ Crawford. And one thing we haven't talked about, we're banged up early, which, no team wants to be, but RJ's dealing with some injuries that we're trying to get through. And he was a big piece of last year when he came in, so hopefully we can get him healthy, especially with this week off, because he's a huge piece on our perimeter. And then you add the rest of the group, and adding some height, some shooting is what we did, and what we wanted. And I think we saw that in the first night. And I think one of the big things was Kyle Grill came back off. He's a redshirt sophomore, and he's been playing really well all the way up practice-wise and our exhibition and preseason games. And he struggled, he's never been a starter, and the shots, he was taking, he typically been making in practice and everything. And so, it's a little different when you get out there in the starting role, and, it's feeling a little different. So hopefully he settles into his role too. And then you just talk about some of our incoming freshmen, our transfers. And like I said, we added the shooting, we added the height, we added some athleticism that we thought would help these returners, so on paper, it looks great. It's what we wanted, and at times when it's what you want, sometimes it takes a little time to, get everybody on the same page. So, with that being said, we're still super excited, about what these guys can become, and with the landscape of MIAA, and then just the course of the season,
Yeah, no doubt about it. Rusty Groffle's our guest. Who's one of the newcomers that you guys are the most excited about?
I would say there's a couple of them that are kind of right there. Dan, transfer from Denver University, still really new to the game. He redshirted at Denver, played very sparingly this last year. He's from Germany originally, so he kind of has that European game, but has been in the States for 2 years now. So he's got a good as far as foundation of the American side of basketball collegiately. So 6'8", super long, super athletic, can step out and shoot, has a chance to be really good. We're trying to get him to keep his intensity up the entire time through the course of his minutes in the game. So and then two of our freshmen, I'd say Eli and Aiden McDowell, both incoming freshmen, but both have a chance to play a lot of minutes in their incoming freshman year, which is a big step at any level, I should say, I guess. But Aiden can step out and shoot and give you different variations with his size at the guard position. And Eli's just a big kid, 6'7", 6'7.5". To be honest with you, looks like he should be playing college football with the body type that he has as an incoming freshman. So just two to three guys there, along with the rest of them that were super excited that obviously played a good chunk of minutes that first weekend out there in Minnesota.
How, kind of sticking with the same recruiting, how easier was it, or was it more difficult? You had a great season last year. You went 23-9. How was that going out and finding players after a really good, successful season last year?
Anytime you win, it's pretty easy. And then I say, anytime you win, it's easier to recruit, but also when you have, facility and, the reputation of number 1 4A state, and then also the MIAA conference. So, you say it's easy, it's still hard regardless, recruiting anybody, I feel like, just based off the landscape of the land right now, on how things work, both Division I, Division II, all the way down. But I feel like, the guys that we brought in, we're pretty selective here too, as far as, we're not throwing out, 20 visits in the fall and together in the spring just to try to figure out, what 4 or 5 guys, we're maybe bringing in a handful of 8 guys, and, we're, letting them know exactly where they're at, and obviously where they fall, within our team at that time to, hopefully make them comfortable and make a decision. So I feel like we did a really good job. We hit it really hard early, especially there in the spring. And, we have a bigger roster than we normally have had here, so a roster size of 16 with, the red shirts that we've had up to this point too. So I think we're fortunate, and obviously we'll be losing not trying to look too far ahead, but we'll be losing a good chunk of guys this upcoming year that have been here for a long time. So, trying to, put together that, as I speak right now with, the other assistant, and figure out exactly what we need to pinpoint, whether it's junior college wise, transfer wise, incoming freshmen, moving forward for the next class.
Rusty Groff, our guest. Final one for you here. I could talk all morning with you, buddy, but I got to get move on. But I want to get your thoughts on the MIAA this year. What are your thoughts on the league as a whole? I know it's a challenge every year, but what do you think it's going to be like here in 24-25?
It'll be a little different. I think it's just because of some coaching changes, and I think you're already seeing it. preseason wise, obviously with Washburn ranked in the top 10, I think they even moved up. We were ranked in the top 25. You had Northwest Missouri State in the top 25, and then you had, a couple other teams, I think, receiving votes already in that first poll. So, nationwide, obviously we hold, a lot of good, basketball, what that everybody else looks at. So I think it's going to be exactly that, but just the landscape, will be a little different. Northwest, out there in Missouri, it'll be totally different than what they've had in the last, 10 years, I would say. But they're still fielding a good team. You got Washburn, who returned all their starting five, Pitt State, who lost a couple key guys. But a lot of these teams, and even I think what separates us probably MIAA wise is our bottom teams, quote unquote, whoever those teams are. They're good enough to beat the top teams. So you see that in some conferences, but especially in ours, it's just tough. Like you don't have any teams you can just put a check mark by ever. I mean, I feel like it's one of those deals where it's good as a coach in a sense, because you can tell your team the preparation and what you have to do to, get a tough road win or get a tough win, which is going to be throughout that way through the course of the season. And another thing just to touch on is, we kind of shifted MIAA wise into, we didn't divide, but we did as far as, there's two divisions. And like whether you call it north or a south or whatnot. So, we'll play our side for sure twice, and kind of like they used to do in the Jayhawk back in the day, where we're only going to get to play that south side, whether it's Pitt State, a new team, Fort Smith, one time, and we'll do a home here, and then we'll flip it the next year and do it down there. So it's a little bit different landscape for MIAA as far as that goes. Where we'll still bring it all together for an MIAA tournament, at the end where, we're all just one conference as far as the rankings and how it ends up.
I'd be all for that when it came to the bus rides.
Yeah, for sure.
all for easier road trips. I'm all for that. I'll vote for that, whatever that may be. Make it easy.
you and Coach Johnson, man. If we could have all just day trips, it would be perfect. Yeah, we're an advocate of the day trips, down and back, the high school days, we're gonna hit up St. Francis here. We're getting back. No.
We're going to Sadie. We're going to Sadie. We'll be back here in about a half hour. No big deal.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Once again, Rusty Groffel, good friend of the program. Coach, we really appreciate you taking some time with us this morning. I'll definitely be catching up with you throughout the season. I know it's a rough start, but I'm sure you guys will get the ship going in the right direction.
All right. Thanks a lot, Russ.
Once again, great stuff there from Rusty Groffel, assistant at Fort Hays State for the men's basketball team. Of course, former head coach at Colby Community College. Always a great conversation with him. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show with what you would call the Pick Six Picks. That's right. We'll make our Pick Six Picks of the week and wrap the show next. Listen to the Morning Blitz. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Anytime I guess you're in Goodland, anytime you stop on by in Goodland, come in the new studio. You're going to watch the game in KC tonight? You got to come up to Goodland and check out their top dog. Thanks again to Rusty Groffel for joining the show. He's always great to have on. Great conversation with him, and always good to hear how Fort Hays State men's basketball is going along. It's had a rough start to the season, off to an 0-3 start. 0-2, you don't count the exhibition game, but they should be able to bounce back with a great home stretch. Like he said, I think they've got, I was looking at the schedule, they've got home games rattled from coming up here on Tuesday all the way until, they don't leave home until December 14th. So almost get a whole month at home, does the Fort Hays State men's basketball team. All right, let's dive into our pick six picks of the weekend and look ahead to the regional slate of college sports tier. We talked about local in the first segment. We'll start real quick with college basketball. KU is in action they'll be hosting Oakland on Saturday, 5 o'clock Central. We talked about Oakland a couple days ago on the show about Alan Mukeba, who was a former Colby Community College player now at Oakland, and he'll be at the Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday afternoon. Huge slate of college football on Saturday, a full slate as well. You know, last few weeks, teams have been on buys off and on. Everyone is pretty much in action here tonight. You've got not tonight, but on Saturday, K-State, number 17, looking to bounce back from a tough loss a couple weeks ago. They welcome in Arizona State. Cam Scadaboo was questionable, the running back for Arizona State, a really good running back. Sounds like he's gonna be ready to go. That's a 6 Central, 5 Mountain Time kickoff. You can hear it on 100.3 The Ride. Kansas trying to win back-to-back games over a ranked foe. They are in Provo. 6th-ranked Cougars from BYU will be hosting them. I don't know what the Kansas schools did that they both had to have late games in Provo, but they both drew that short straw. Did both Kansas State and KU. Can KU get it done? That's a late kickoff, 9:15 Central, 8:15 Mountain Time on Flower Country 97.9. And then Colorado at home, hosting Utah. That's an early kickoff at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Nebraska in LA taking on USC in the Desperation Bowl, as many people have dubbed it, and I would agree with that. The Desperation Bowl, and both those teams will be squaring off. That is, I think, 2:30 Central, 1:30 Mountain Time kickoff, I believe that's when that is. And also, shout out to Colorado State and Wyoming. They're facing off tonight in the 116th meeting of the Border War. So Colorado State at home hosting them in Fort Collins. And then, of course, on Sunday, you've got the Chiefs, who will be without, it sounds like, place kicker Harrison Butker. He's been put on injured reserve due to a knee injury that's going to require some arthroscopic surgery. And so he's going to be sidelined for at least 4 games. They brought in Spencer Schrader off the practice squad from the Jets, and he'll make his debut when the Chiefs take on the Bills in Buffalo. That game is set to kick off 3:25 Central on 100.3 The Ride Sunday. And then Broncos also have a little bit later kickoff, 2:05 Mountain Time on Rocket 102.5. They welcome in the Falcons as Denver tries to end a brief 2-game skid. All right, let's get to the walk-off, make the picks.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Going down the list here, Kansas at number 6, BYU. The Cougars 2.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Jayhawks outright. I'm going to take it. I don't know why. Maybe Max is just his enthusiasm is pouring through me. I don't know, but something about this says that I think BYU, they've been close to getting handed a loss. They've come away with wins. I think KU for some reason gets it done. I don't know why. That's just what I'm going to go with. Kansas State hosts Arizona State. K-State's going to cover the 7.5 and beat Arizona State. They're a more complete team, and they are angry after losing that game. They're at home, and they're angry. Bad combination for the Sun Devils. Nebraska going to USC. The Trojans are 7-point favorites. I've got Nebraska to cover the 7. Early on, I was thinking, like, this is the game that Nebraska's going to win. I don't know why I thought that. I just thought they would. There's just been so many changes with USC's new quarterback and Nebraska with a new offensive coordinator entirely. I just don't know. But I still think Nebraska can cover just because they always seem to be close. Colorado, 11-point favorites, hosting Utah. I'm going to take the under, 45.5. I think both teams' defenses hold the opposition to less points than you would think. Broncos, 2-point favorites at home. Falcons, give me the Broncos to win and cover. And the Chiefs are at the Bills. Bills are 2-point favorites at home. I tell you the truth, I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game. I don't know why. They just don't lose. They find ways to win. And so give me the Chiefs. There you go. The pick 6 picks of the weekend. Good luck to all the area athletes here in action, especially the high school football athletes here tonight in the football playoffs. We're back on Monday. Hope for the new studios. If not, we'll still be here with you on Rocket 102.5. Have yourself a great weekend.